Welcome to the Strong Life Podcast. This is your host, Zach Evanesh, the founder of the Underground Strength Gym and the creator of the Underground Strength Coach certification. During every episode, I'm going to give you tips on how you can kick ass and take names in life and lifting. Enjoy the show. Guys, this is a very special episode. Of course, they're all packed with awesome information, and I'm sure you always hear, hey, this episode is unique, this episode is special. But those of you who have been following me for a long time, you know I'm highly influenced by the military and having some friends that are former Navy SEALs. This is near and dear to my heart. In this episode, I interview Andy Stumpf, former Navy SEAL, and actually met him during my first level 1 CrossFit certification at the Quantico military base 8 years ago. At the time, he was still active duty military. And in this episode, I speak with Andy about finding your why, fighting for the things that you want and for what you believe in. We talk about parenting. We talk about training. We talk about how he imparts much more than just tactical wisdom when he's training special operators. So going into the mindset, talk about kicking ass and taking names in life. Everything that this show is about. And then to close it all out, there is a very special mission that Andy's on. He's working with the Navy SEAL Foundation, and he's doing a huge fundraiser, and he's calling it Man on a Mission. Of course, he's had friends, team members, SEAL team members that have died in combat, and he's paying it forward. So what I'm going to do is take this thing to the next level because I want to be part of this. It's in my heart, and with 9/11 happening in my backyard, that just changed the way I look at freedom. It changed the way I look at the military and the men that are out there on the front lines fighting. And what we're going to do, when you go to zachevanesh.com/62, this is episode 62, I'm putting different prizes according to how much you donate to this Navy SEAL Foundation, and it will be linked to Andy's specific one, which is at GoFundMe. So if you want to do some research on what Andy's doing, you could type in his name, Andy Stumpf, Man on a Mission, and you'll end up going to his GoFundMe page. But really, I'm putting in prizes, and Andy offered a big prize for anybody who donates the most. So go to zachevanesh.com/ or I don't know what it's called, / whatever the hell kind of / 62, episode 62. Simple as that. And giving away some awesome stuff. Like I said, this means a lot to me. The things that we talk about, and one of my first ever mentors in my life, wrote about him in the Encyclopedia of Underground Strength and Conditioning. Went on to become a Navy SEAL, and these guys just have a place close in my heart. You know, my words could never do justice, guys. It's all from the heart. Thanks to you for listening. Please share this episode out. Hook me up with a 5-star rating and all that other yada yada. I don't even fucking care about these 5-star ratings. Whatever, forget about it. What's important to me is that we're helping you kick ass and take names in life, and now we've got to pay it forward. Andy, as a former SEAL, wants to do some big stuff, and it is my honor to help him achieve at least a small percent of those things. Let's work together. Strong Life Podcast Nation, let's do this. Enjoy the show. This stuff is just filled with awesome knowledge bombs. Thanks to everybody, and again, see you at zachevanesh.com/62. Peace. Guys, what's going on? Zach here from the Strong Life Podcast. I'm with former Navy SEAL Andy Stumpf. We're going to be talking about awesome stuff as always. That's how we roll. Super short history on Andy is that I met Andy 8 years ago exactly, because it was around this time. It was early or mid-September. Did my CrossFit Level 1 certification at Quantico military base, which was pretty amazing. That was my second time at Quantico. My brother had graduated from OCS there, and that was an amazing time, that whole certification, that experience. That was 07. That was 2007. So Andy is doing a lot of amazing things, and there was a couple SEALs in that group. Eddie was running that with you as well. And let's talk about right now. You're in your mid 30s, and a lot
physically in my mid to late 30s.
Physically, mid-30s.
Emotionally, it's a different story, but yeah.
I try to, whenever my wrestlers talk to me, I go, look, you're 17, but your shoulders and knees are 71. So there's all these mixed things. So you're doing some very cool things right now, staying adventurous and staying dangerous. And what I want to talk to you about is how you are applying lessons you've learned as a SEAL, and now you are a civilian. How did you, I guess, segue back into civilian life, and how are you applying those things to just keep charging? And the reason why I ask that is I see people that are at high levels at certain things, and then when they leave that arena, some of them keep going, they keep challenging. Some of them just go straight to the couch, and they don't know how to segue. So we'd love to hear some life tips from you that people listening can apply to their own life to be more successful, to be tougher, to be stronger.
Yeah, for sure. I think I actually got fortunate, like you mentioned, back in 2007. We first met in Quantico, and I didn't get out of the military until 2013. Last day of June 2013. So I was kind of dipping my toes in the outside of the military world while I was still in. So I had the opportunity to have something lined up to transition out of, and to kind of tailor down one career while I was ramping up another one. So for me, it was a little bit easier because it wasn't just black and white. It wasn't just like, boom, the military's over one day, you're civilian the next day, and now you got to figure out what you're going to do in between the two. So that definitely helped. Having said that, I spent the majority of my adult life in the SEAL teams, and the stuff that you take away from that, and you can apply that to any civilian occupation that you would want to go after. What I have found is the basic core principles, they apply across the spectrum of everything. And the stuff that seemed to be common sense in the SEAL teams seems to be revelatory in a lot of civilian organizations, because I have my fingers and toes in a couple different things, and I can kind of sit back and I watch and I juxtapose the leadership that I see versus the leadership that I came from, and the work ethic that I see versus the work ethic that was required in the SEAL teams, and they're different. Communication is a big one. In the SEAL teams, we harp on communication, both up and down the chain of command. You need to be able to talk to the guy above you, and you need to be able to talk to the guy below you and articulate both of their jobs, but you have to do your job, right? But, you're only as good, especially in the team atmosphere, you're only as good as the informational flow up and down. So communication and having a great line of communication both up and down is critical. Really, I could sum up what I learned in the SEAL teams into basically one thing, right? You have two choices in your life. You have the choice between discipline and regret.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do great things with their life. I don't think anybody wakes up and is like, you know what? I want to be a couch potato. That's it. That's totally my calling, is to sit on my ass and do nothing. I want to go do this, that, or the other. So whatever your goal is in life, you got two choices. You can sit at the end of your life and go, wow, I really regret that I didn't do the things that I set out to do. Okay, so there's that path. Or you can have the discipline to do the things that suck and to work at things an inch at a time until it turns into a foot, until it turns into a mile, and then you achieve those things that you want to accomplish. We harp on that in SEAL training. I went back and midway through my career and administered the diving phase of SEAL training. And if people come to BUDS, basic underwater demolition SEAL training, and they look at it as 6 months, they're very likely to fail, because it's an overwhelming task, and they're going to get their kick in the nuts every single day. But if they take it 1 hour at a time, or they're like, hey, I'm just going to make it to lunch, and then we'll reevaluate. Then we're going to make it to dinner. Take it systematically, one step at a time. Do what you have to do. Accept the fact you're going to get kicked in the teeth and kicked in the balls, and you got to get back up. You have to have the discipline to do those things. In the end, you're not going to be living with regret. So it really comes down to those two things. That and there's no magic trick. There's no magic pill. It's hard work. There is no sacrifice for hard work, so get off your ass and do the hard thing. Because if it's easy, it's probably not worth doing.
Right. What's interesting is you said you went into buds at age 18.
Yeah,
So
thank God. I was too dumb to know any better.
yeah, this is so being that I work with so many high school athletes,
Yeah.
through the years I've just seen a huge decline in desire, in the ability to handle the slightest challenges, slight challenges such as football season just started. I'm so busy. I'm so tired. I just can't make it. Won't even try to get to the gym once a week. You being at age 18 going in, that's pretty rare. So I'm assuming straight out of high school you're going in. What, how did who or what kind of molded your mindset to be in that stage to say, like, bring it on, motherfucker. I am fucking ready to do this, because that is it's just rare for me to come across a young athlete who has that. It's so rare. I'm wondering, like, who influenced you or what shaped your attitude?
Yeah, your comment is interesting because when I went back as an instructor, I had the same thing. We would sit around as instructors and talk about the students that we were training. And the comment would generally be, I wonder if we seemed like this to our instructors, because we were seeing kids with, they were rolling their eyes at us. They would come into training with a sense of entitlement. And it was just, I don't know if they spent their entire life being told that they were special and unique and that they deserved something that they didn't have to work for. But it was a very interesting shift because those guys got spit out, like a meat grinder. For myself personally, I went from the shelter of my parents, that community, to the community of the SEAL teams. So the only place where I could put it, that helped me and shaped me with that work ethic would be my parents. I mean, my dad owned a masonry company, and I started working with him when I was very young. It's physically demanding, but my parents were of the vein, like, get outside and go play, go be active, go play sports, play baseball, play water polo, do junior lifeguards. Like, I was constantly busy. And I don't ever remember having the sense of entitlement towards them. I mean, they would have beaten that out of me with a stick, probably both literal and physical. It seems to be a different time. Like, people talk about the greatest generation of our country. And it drives me nuts because those people are rolling over in their graves when these guys, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do this, that, or the other. Like, yeah, you do. It's a choice. You got to do the hard thing if you want to do great things. Like, that's just the way it is. And so, yeah, I got to say it's my parents. I mean, my parents are the one who instilled that work ethic in me. And, if you wanted to go get something, well, go work for it until you can actually go and achieve it. I'm not going to give it to you. I mean, you're not going to learn a damn thing if you're just given stuff your entire life.
Right. And so you're a father now.
Yeah.
And how many kids?
3, 2 boys and a little girl.
Awesome. So
sometimes
I'm assuming that you're kind of even though they're young. I've got 2 younger kids too. They just turned 7, just turned 9.
Yep.
I feel that it's okay to be tough on them. And
you have to.
Right, you have to. I feel if you give them the option, even our most motivated athletes that I work with, if mom or dad tells them we're too busy, the kid will not fight back. The kid won't say, I'll ride my bike, I'll do this. They're just not fighting for what they want. I personally feel like things like this podcast is like the shit that kids need to be doing in school,
Yeah.
So they can listen to this.
Yeah. They need to have a role model that explains to them the value of hard work. I mean, that is what this country was largely founded on. You know what I mean? Like, and it's why we became what we became, because of the blood, sweat, and tears, both literal and physical, of the people who were willing to work for something that they believed in. I mean, my kids want stuff, they'll be like, Dad, like you can imagine, I got 2 boys. I want to play Call of Duty.
Right.
I need the newest one. It's $50. I'm like, well, here's the deal. I'll pay for half. You're working for the other half. Like, it's not, oh, you know what? You deserve it because it's Friday and you successfully completed a day of school. Here's a video game. No, you need to work for it. What are the chores that you're going to do? Like, you tell me, how are you going to make the money? What do you think is worth your time for me to pay you so you can have what you want? And then, it's not like I don't deny my children anything, because as a parent, you don't want them to have everything, but I want them to be successful because I look at it as I'm raising a human being that's going to go outside of my nest at some point, and I want them to be a pillar of core values. And at the end of the day, I just want them to do awesome stuff. And that doesn't happen, in my opinion, from what I've seen, is if you spoon feed them everything and teach them that they're unique and special, because although they are unique and special, it doesn't mean that the world owes you a goddamn thing. You know, you got to go out and work for what you want.
It's like we hear this stuff from people like you or anybody that's successful. My buddy Joe DeSena owns the Spartan Race, and he said that even though like people know this stuff, right? They know that you got to go out and work hard. He still doesn't understand why still some people can't get off the couch. Why are some people 300 pounds? Not the 300.
People are inherently lazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, it's, you know, people know that sitting on the couch eating ho-hos all day long, for an example, is not the right thing to do. But they do it because it's easier than getting up off the couch and walking 5 miles. Like, I get it. I don't always do the right thing. Like, believe me, I've crushed a few bag of chips on the couch and wasted time watching TV. But I try to have the vast majority of the decisions I make fall into the good category. You know, so I think people, and you know, the downward trend and people kind of losing control and starting to feel sorry for themselves, it's like this insidious building rock that starts rolling downhill. You know what I mean? If you let it get enough momentum, it's really tough to turn around.
How are you organizing your day now that you're out of the SEAL teams? How are you organizing your day now to be really productive, to be kicking ass? And then we're going to kind of get into your new career, but you're also, you know, you're a family man, and a lot of men listen and watch the podcast, and it's constantly like, hey, how do you get it done? I don't have time with the kids, with that. So I'd like to hear, like, what time do you wake up during the day? How are you productive? How do you get shit done?
You know, so my days are vastly different depending on where I'm at, because a lot of I train military guys, and you know, a lot of the stuff that for that training, I'm away from home. So my day in that atmosphere is totally different because I can be a little bit selfish and focus on myself. For, you know, when I'm home, you know, my wife is burdened with doing everything when I'm gone. So when I get home, I try to take care as much as I can. I usually get up around 5:45 or 6 because my kids get up at 6:15 for school. So come down, throw down a coffee, you know, and then make lunches for the kids, get their breakfast done, get them off to school. And then usually the first thing I do right after we get them off to school is I go and work out. Like, that's the time in my day that I know if I'm going to get a workout in for myself and I need it for my sanity, that's when I go do it. And then the rest of the day while I'm home is usually, for me, it's either on the phone or on emails, trying to, you know, tying into the other aspects of what I'm doing on the military contracting side of the house, or I'm out at the drop zone skydiving, or prepping my next trip to go base jumping. So I do that stuff in my off time, and then when it comes time around 2:30, 2:45 to go get the kids, try to shut that down as much as possible, go off, get the kids, and then when they come home, it's swimming practice, you know, for my boys, or gymnastics for my daughter, or baseball just started today for my son. So, you know, I just look at the time that I have allotted in the day for when I can get stuff done, and then I try to just be maximally effective in that time. But I started off with, like, for me, I know personally that I got to work out, otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. I find the time to do that. Like, there's other things in the day that you want to do. There's plenty of things that I would like to do. I need to work out for myself personally, and I think it's okay to be selfish for an hour of your day, because if that hour of your day makes you a better husband and father, then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I got to say, the last week, I remember I planned on training. It was Labor Day. I planned on training Monday morning, and the whole kind of day got away from me. And in my head, I kept saying, I'm just going to go to the gym to power clean or squat or flip the tire up and down the turf twice. And it got away from me, and I got to admit, I was the biggest dick to be around that day, because
I think guys are simpler, though. You know what I mean? Like, guys are simpler because we're generally, like, at a baseline level, we're idiots. You know what I mean? And we're like blunt objects, and it doesn't take a lot of things to satisfy, like, what we need. Like, we're hunter-gatherers. Like, go break something or pick something up or throw it. Yep. And your day is going to be better. And if we don't get that, because, like I said, we are simple, you know, like one DNA chromosome away from an ape. It's, you know what I mean? It does the same thing to me. Like, if I have a couple days where I don't work out, I become a dick for sure.
What's, you know, I didn't know, and I'm not sure when this happened, but may have been like 2 years ago or so, Rogue came out with a commercial their video with you, and I didn't know that you had been shot, and this was kind of when I think you came across. That's when you stumbled across CrossFit, and you were basically feeling like shit. I want to tie that in with people always reach out to me like, how do you overcome obstacles? Things like when Hurricane Sandy crushed this town and just crushed my gym, like the membership.
Yeah.
I mean, I just brought myself back to what I learned in the wrestling room. Let's talk about obstacles and how you overcome obstacles in life, and maybe give a little history of when you got shot and how you used your mind to, I guess, get yourself on track.
Yeah, so, in 2005, February of 2005, I was on a deployment to Iraq and got shot in the hip. And it largely put any plans that I had with continuing my career in the military or anything that I was doing in my life at that point on hold. And it was really tough because I was young, I was fit, I was doing exactly what I wanted to do, and then all of a sudden, basically, the rug was swept out from underneath me. And it was a really shitty time. It was a really shitty time for me, both physically dealing with all the BS that came along with like the neuropathic injuries and the pain and the medications that the military wanted to prescribe for me. And then, so it kind of started with the body, and then the mind kind of followed. Like, I just was constantly tired, getting frustrated, self-medicating, and it just became this downward spiral. So I found CrossFit through the recommendation of a buddy at that time period and used it to rehab myself. And I can only really speak for the stuff that works for me. If I can keep my head clear and clean and, have some level of focus, my body will follow. If I can keep myself on track, which the working out physically was allowing me to do that mentally. I mean, anybody who's been a coach for any period of time, it's anecdotal, but you can, fit people's brains work better. You know what I mean? Like if you can be healthy and active, your brain just works better. I'm sure there's studies. For me, it was very anecdotal, but I felt it in my body all the time. So rebuilt myself from that. And, and again, kind of back to how I overcome obstacles. One of the biggest things I tell myself when things get tough, because it's, life's a sine wave. You're going to get ups and downs. Just because you work hard and you have discipline doesn't mean you're going to get what you want and everything's going to go the way that you want it to. When things start sucking for me, I just literally tell myself, hey, nothing lasts forever. You could be having the shittiest day of your life, but you know what? That just means you can wake up the next day and it's probably not going to be that shitty. It's not going to be perfect, but, nothing lasts forever. No pain lasts forever. No arduous situation lasts forever. And you just have to have the fortitude to stick with it. And especially if you know where you want to go. If you have an overarching goal or a principle or something that you want to achieve that you can use as a compass, it helps you get through those times that really suck. But you just gotta keep going. And it might be an inch at a time. That's the biggest thing with adversity for me is I just remind myself, like I said, it's just nothing lasts forever.
Interesting. I love that. The metaphor of just the inch. Like, you're not like looking at the big thing. I mean, I hear people that get so stuck on like the thing that's hurting them, either emotionally or physically. And I tell people, I go like, listen to that speech from Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday. Like the inches are all around us.
That was an awesome speech. Right. That one doesn't put the hair up on the back of your neck, then you're probably deaf. You know what I mean? Like.
I like when I hear those things, I was like, man, if I was the principal of a school, I'd probably play that in the morning and then get fired the next day. But
or have the most awesome students in the history of schools ever.
Yeah. So that I want to come to this kind of last question I have for you, and then there was one question on Twitter. My last question is: if you were standing in front of a group of people and they just wanted advice from you onto how to go about just fucking doing the thing you want to do in your life, being a success. And you had, a short amount of time to give them that speech. What would you say to those people? They didn't have questions. They're just there, and they're looking for somebody to fucking give them something straightforward and simple.
Yeah.
How to get out there and do it.
I'd probably have to ask them a few questions. I mean, because the reality is what they're after really what they want to do? You know what I mean? Because the first thing that I think you have to determine or define is what is important to you. Like all adult men need to find something in their life that they're willing to fight for. Because if you're willing to fight for it, it likely means something to you and it has value in your life. And once you determine what that thing is, then that's laid out for you the rough path of what you need to do to get there. For me, I wanted to be a SEAL. I think when I was younger, I wanted to be a SEAL because I liked the ideal of it. And as I became a SEAL and then 9/11 happened, I wanted to continue being a SEAL and fight for my country because I like what it stands for. And, and that's at the macro level. At the micro level, you're fighting for the guy who's next to you. And then really it's fighting for your family at home, because my single biggest fear is that my sons are going to have to finish what I started. So once you determine what that thing is, the rest of the work that you have to put in is totally justified. So it starts with determining for yourself what it is that you actually want to do. And then you just got to put in the time, man. You got to find what you're willing to fight for, and you got to fight for it.
I think that's the biggest thing. What are you willing to fight for? Real quick question. Then I'm going to ask that last Twitter question, actually. You have.
And we got to talk about the fundraising, too. Don't be screwing me over on the fundraising.
We're going to do the fundraising. We're going to crush this.
Okay.
Like when you're doing your military contract work,
yeah.
What are the things that I'm assuming they say, Andy, we want you to teach shooting, or we want you to teach close quarter combat, or whatever it is. What do you do that goes kind of on a deeper level with them so that they take the thing that you're teaching to the next level?
That's actually a pretty deep question.
For example, my background is wrestling.
Yep.
You could be a great wrestler, and I've seen it. Last year I was at Lehigh, and some kids were higher skilled or more gifted with talent, but others were they had something in them that they were willing to fight for it, and they were it was like, they were just fighters, and there was something in them, and people always learn that. Like, I learn a lot from some of your peers in the SEAL teams, and just people that have mentored me, and they were always tough, and that I just had that aspiration and a deeper why. What do you teach beyond the actual thing, the skill?
That's actually tough, because the guys that we're teaching are kind of already through their selection pipeline.
Yep.
So the selection pipeline is designed to be the filter, to filter for whatever that career path is looking for. It's mental fortitude, or a physical aptitude, or an ability, or a skill. Most of the guys that we're teaching now are at the age that I was when I joined the military, and it's super odd to be almost double these kids' age, and they're looking at you, wishing that they had been able to do the things that you did, except for the fact they were 2 years old when you were doing them. So I just try to, more than anything, relate to them on a personal level, and try to kind of just talk with them like we're talking now. Because there's, you go and you do a shooting course, and X amount of the time is spent shooting, but a lot of the time you're just interfacing with the students, and they're asking you questions because they're curious. And my big thing is to just try to connect with the guys and make sure that they're in it for the right reason, and try to get them to think about where their career choices and where their life is going to take them next. Because there's a huge gap between what you do in the military at a hypothetical level, as opposed to when you actually go overseas and you do it at a practical level. The ability to think beyond yourself, the ability to think about the second and third order effects of your actions and the greater effect it can have on other people. Because to a lot of these kids, it's just hypothetical. So I try to focus less on the tactics and more just interact with them at a human being level, answer their questions, explain to them, the trials that I went through when I was in the active duty, and the biggest thing, I guess, would be to impart on them the mistakes that I made and I saw made, so that they can learn from that without having to make them themselves.
Awesome. Let's talk about the Navy SEAL Foundation. Let's talk about what you're doing. The fact that you're also a dad with kids. Most people, they get to a point where they're like, you know what? I'm going to stop doing some of the crazy shit I'm doing. There's other ways.
I don't do anything crazy. So perfect.
There's other ways for you to raise the money, but you're going to break records doing base jumps. Let's talk about this, and then for everybody listening, watching, on my blog at zachevnesh.com or undergroundstrength.tv, I'm going to link the specific fundraising link that Andy's doing. We're also going to hold a fundraiser at the Underground Strength Gym, but whether you guys are near or far, I'm going to put prize levels for how much people donate. So if you're donating more, there's going to be prizes coming from me, whether it's Inner Circle membership, signed copy of the Encyclopedia of Underground Strength. We're going to do some big stuff like a free ticket to an Underground Strength Coach certification. The reason why I'm so hyped up behind it is because 9/11 is yesterday. My earliest mentor comes from a guy who you and I just spoke about who went on to become a SEAL. And 9/11 happened in my backyard and just changed the way I viewed military. So this is important to me, and I want you to share your why behind this big fundraiser that you're doing with the Navy SEAL Foundation.
Sure. Yeah, imagine doing a job for the majority of your adult life and then retiring from that job. And at that point when I retired, I was like, okay, I was able to accomplish a lot. I feel like we had a, success both at the direct level but at a national level. And I got out and I was ready to move on to the next chapter of my life. Fast forward to 2015, and every time I watch the news, I want to throw something at the TV. Like, I can't even watch anymore the stories about ISIS or Syria or Iran or everything that's going on, even in Afghanistan and Iraq. So to me, it feels like the miles that we went down the road with blood, sweat, and tears are slowly being eroded an inch at a time in the other direction. And from somebody who was able to actually go over there for a long period of time and physically do something about it, it's so infinitely frustrating to be able to sit on your couch and be able to do nothing. So it was driving me nuts. And, like you were saying, a lot of I go base jump, I skydive, I fly my wingsuit. So that's the stuff that I do throughout my normal day. And I got presented with the opportunity of taking a crack at some world records involving the wingsuit jumping, specifically high altitude wingsuit records. I was thinking about it. And then I got partnered up with Killcliff, one of my main sponsors, and they have a yearly commitment to the SEAL Foundation of $250,000. So that kind of got the wheels spinning even more. And I approached them. I was like, hey guys, how about this? How about I take a crack at these jumps, but we turn the entire thing into a fundraiser for the SEAL Foundation, try to at least meet the yearly obligation from the company, but let's set an even greater goal to see if we can really make a difference. They loved it. I got a hold of the SEAL Foundation, was talking with them, pitching to them my ideas. And at about the $1 million range, we can fund their survivor support program for 2016. So they have a variety of tranches of things that the SEAL Foundation does. I mean, they'll help active duty guys financially. They're there from the catastrophic notice when, you actually get a knock on the door. I mean, there's stuff that you're not prepared for. I mean, you get a check for $450,000 and an emotionally at a time where you're not making, great decisions. So they have tax help, financial help, arrangements for funerals, flying in family members, all the stuff that you would never want to have to deal with. They're there in that moment. And then for the kids, health care, dental care, they'll do babysitting, 24 hours of childcare per month. They'll do educational grants, laptops for the kids every 3 years, bringing them together for survivor support camps and wellness camps and grieving camps. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on about the things that the SEAL Foundation does. They were super supportive. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. If I juggled, I would try to do juggling to raise money for them, but I don't juggle. So this is what I do. The jumping stuff is what I do. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go all in, go as big as I can and try to raise $1 million to fund that program for 2016. Because for me, what I get out of it is the feeling that I'm still having an impact. Not directly overseas, but at least the guys who are going overseas and live with their toes on the line know that there's people and organizations back home that are there to support them in case something happens. And I can speak from firsthand experience, that's a great thing to have because you think about that shit overseas. Like, fuck, if something happens, like, did I do everything that I could? And it's not possible to do everything that you could, which is why people and organizations, back home willing to help out, that's why they're so important. So I'm trying to give back to the community that made me, largely who I am today. And it makes me feel good because I feel like I'm still involved.
Awesome. We're gonna turn this one into overdrive. It's heartfelt for me. Like I said, I talk about it, I get all choked up, which that makes me crazy. So everybody listening or watching, get over to the blog, go to undergroundstrength.tv or zachevnish.com, same thing. When you click podcast, I want you to, or use the search bar, and you guys just search for Andy Stumpf's name, and I'm going to link this out. I want everybody to really get behind this. I'm going to do some really cool prizes, and on the blog will be instructions for those of you that meet like the different levels of fundraising on the prizes that I'm going to push out with this. So
and here you go. So top donation, I'll fly out to wherever you are and I'll take you for a tandem.
Holy shit. Top donation. Well, I think we have to put a number on it. We really got to push.
$1 million. You know, $1 million and above per $1 million check. I'll fly out and do a tandem. Now, I'm a total rank amateur when it comes to fundraising, but like I said, so jumping is what I do.
Yep.
If, you know, whoever it is who wants to get behind it the most, if they're interested in doing that, then let's go out for a day. I'll take you for a skydive. You can come take dip your toes into my world for a little bit.
Oh, God, this is going to be awesome. So you're out in SoCal, right?
Yeah, San Diego.
Awesome. So how bad could that be, right?
Yeah, it's not going to suck.
This just got amazing. So this was awesome. Thanks for being on the Strong Life podcast, Andy. It's been great. And, it just meant a lot for me to be coached by you. That was 8 years ago exactly, and it's awesome what you're doing. I mean, my words can't describe it enough, so I want everybody listening, let's fucking crush this thing and go all in and help the Navy SEAL Foundation. This is going to be awesome. So, Andy, thanks. And everybody, again, see the information at the blog and spread the word. Thanks, everybody. Take it easy. Peace.